when I qualified as a nurse, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And one of the things I did was learn how to teach people to drive. But I didn't want to do that full time, so I looked for part-time jobs. And one of the part-time jobs that I became involved with was working with a lady called Eve Bendall. She was in the process of studying for a PhD, and she was doing a research project. And she had a feeling, she was a nurse, and she had a feeling that some nurses who were very good nurses were not very good at doing exams, whereas the nurses that were really good at passing exams were not necessarily so good at being nurses. And she employed 3 of us young nurses to help her with her project. And she chose some hospitals by sticking a pin in a map, and over a period of several months we went weekly to different hospitals, and we stood on the ward. We were told which nurse to watch, or which nurses to watch, and we had various activities that we had to record. The activities had to be things that were done by the most junior and the most senior of nurses, all student nurses. One of the tasks we had to watch for was, does the nurse look at the thermometer and shake it down before putting it in the patient's mouth? Of course, nowadays I think thermometers are probably disposable, but in those days they were stored in antiseptic at the top of the bed. I'm sure some of you young nurses watching this will be horrified at the thought. Another thing we looked for was, does the nurse give the patient a bowl of water to wash his hands after using the bedpan? That kind of thing. And Eve Bendall would then give the nurses a questionnaire to complete, a little test, and she would give them all a psychological profile to fill in. And of course the outcome of her research was that the really good nurses are not all that good at answering questions. They let themselves down. But I've always thought nursing is a very practical job. That's why most of us enjoyed doing it. That's why we chose to be nurses. We like looking after people. We weren't necessarily academic. One of the things that impresses me now, working with the nurse practitioners that I work with in the Polyposis Registry at St Mark's, and the other departments too, is the degree of professionalism. They are intelligent, interested, lively, funny, amazingly competent and dedicated ladies. We don't have any male nurses yet, but we're always on the lookout for one. They're to be admired.